It's not the students that are fault. It's basically a system that is broken.
They don't even teach physics and chemistry in their curriculum.
You'll have to work for 12 hours a day on average for your next 4 years. If you're ready, come.
Come on. How can a local school be at par with IITs?
Today, many of our students are earning about $100,000,
Wow.
which is for very, very big amount. And
Yes.
all of these students come from very small towns or very small colleges. None of them have been to great colleges. And for
Yes.
most of these students, no one cared about them in their life.
Yes.
No teacher cared about them. Their college did not care about them.
Average is over across the board. In every sphere, there's no place for average people. Anybody can do anything now. So there is no ceiling anymore.
I was born in a very small town. It's a place where even today there's no railway station, filled with violence, a lot of gang wars, etc.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Techie, where I love to talk to founders, entrepreneurs, educationists, people who have been there, done that, and are doing something amazing for humanity and overall world. And I like to talk on these topics from a spiritual as well as technological angle, because I think what we bring into the world starts from something within, and when we give expression to that calling, that purpose within, and turn it into some product or service for humanity, then the end result is always magnificent. And today I have a very, interesting founder who I'm very, very intrigued to ask him some very good questions today, because his journey started in a small town in Gwalior, and he went to one of the most reputed colleges in India. These are called the IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, and he is an engineering graduate from IIT Roorkee. After that, he was an engineer, software engineer, working for some companies. Then he started, got into entrepreneurship, started some, startups. And finally, where he ended up is very, very interesting to me. He is currently the founder, a co-founder of a very interesting engineering school in India. And currently, I think these guys have 3 colleges in India. And these are called Newton School of Technology. And what I find very interesting about these colleges is that these are very different from the traditional models of education. For example, they start, teaching coding to their students from day one, which is very interesting. All of their graduates are computer science with AI ML as their specializations. And because of that, they don't even teach physics and chemistry in their curriculum, because their thought is that, okay, why teach something which is not needed for a certain kind of education model that they're pursuing. So given that background, I was very intrigued, and even I have hired some interns from this school, and I am just blown away with their capabilities and what they're capable of doing and delivering. So that's how this podcast came about, because I really wanted to talk to the founder and understand what led him to this creation and where he sees this moving forward, because I strongly believe that in the age of AI, education has to evolve. Education has to be more relevant with what is shaping around us, and just sticking to the old models may not work very efficiently moving forward. So given that background, I'm so excited and looking forward to this conversation. Welcome to the Spiritual Techie podcast, Siddharth. This is Siddharth Maheshwari, the founder of Newton School of Technology. So welcome to our podcast, Siddharth. What a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Kamal. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so, Siddharth, before we get into any details on, what you do on Newton side of Newton School of Technology and other details, tell me about your growing up years, because I think that's where our value systems are established, and those value systems, either make it or break it, dreams, aspirations. So tell me a little bit about your background there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are actually right that, I was born in a very small town. It's
Okay.
called as Rat in Uttar Pradesh. It's a place where even today there's no railway station. Even train does not come there today. It was a small town. Uttar Pradesh in India back then was filled with violence, a lot of gang wars, etc.
Okay.
And I was born in a joint family, a small business family where in a single house we would be around 30 people living together.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
that was a very fun place to be in because,
Yes.
We had so many people always around. Like, I remember most of the times it was not my mother who used to put me to sleep. Some other aunt of mine used to put me to sleep. So that was a
Yes.
typical Indian joint family setup. It was very fun to be around. At the same time, because of the location I was born in, the violence, the environment, my father always wanted to get out from there and give us a good education.
Mhm.
And that is why he brought us to a larger town in comparison, which is called as Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh, which is also very small compared to the big cities of both India and US.
Yes.
So there he enrolled us in a school, and fortunately he had a departmental store,
Mhm.
and he got a computers to take care of his accounts and other things, and that changed my life. So I got
Okay.
access to computers very early on when I was in my third standard, and this must be back in 1998 or around 2000s, and I started learning coding. I played
Mhm.
games also on it, but I started building things. I started hacking into the operating system itself, changing the UI, etc. Windows users would know of it, especially back then.
Yes.
And for a child, especially who was being raised in a setup,
Mhm.
where his family was in a market
Mhm.
and there was a shop below and the house was above it. So it's a very typical business family setup in India. There was
Right.
no one to play around because it was a complete market setup. No
Yes.
other children. So after school I had no one to play around. So I used to spend all my time on computers,
Okay.
and I also got access to internet. I started hanging out on forums.
Mhm.
Over there, I came to know about something called as IITs.
Uh,
I came to know about computer science as a branch, and I
Yes.
realized that this is for me.
Mhm.
While I was in my sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth standard, I
Mm.
started blogging. I started writing about open source, about technology,
Oh,
even about
interesting.
finance, because I realized that it is a keyword which makes you a lot of money. So I always had two passions from my childhood.
Uh-huh.
One was always on the business side where I used to do things to make money. So there were
Okay.
blogs on technology, finance, which used to make me money. And then I used to run blogs on open source. There was a tool called as GIMP, which was basically an open source Photoshop alternative. And I wanted to promote it. I wanted more people to use it. So I used to write very popular tutorials. I
Mhm.
used to be active on a lot of forums, helping other people out. So yeah,
Mhm.
by the time I was 10th standard, I had my own blogs, websites, graphics design studio, and these
Mhm.
used to have millions of visitors and lakhs in earning every year. So I started earning, and this was back in 2008. So I was in my 10th standard, and there was a very big recession that had hit back then. And my father
Okay.
was very active in stock markets, and we
Yes.
had a major loss back then. And this income allowed our family to sustain ourselves. It allowed
Oh,
me to
yeah.
fund our education. So I realized the importance of internet technology,
Yes.
and I decided to make my career and life in it.
Yes.
I got into one of the coachings which are quite popular in India and China, which help
Uh-huh.
you get into the top colleges. I don't
Okay.
think such a setup exists in US, but in my 12th standard, I prepared for the JEE exam, which leads you to IIT,
Yes.
and I studied really hard because
Mhm.
my family situation back then also, came as an inspiration to me that I need to do something about it.
Right.
And fortunately, I got into IIT Roorkee computer
Mhm.
science, so that was my deep dream branch.
Okay.
And those 4 years changed my life completely. And since
Interesting.
then,
So that's how your journey started. And when you were talking about what age you got the computer and stuff, 2000, you said 99, 98, 99, 2000, and I in my head I was like, man, that was the time I was graduating from engineering and getting into the real world. And you're so young and you're so successful, and that's very, very inspiring. And you talked about the joint family culture. I would like to just expand that for the larger audiences here who may not understand what families are all about. So in India, you have this concept where some traditional families would have large house, like a palatial house with many rooms and stuff, and then generations of your father, grandfather, your uncles and their kids, and so on and so forth. Everybody just stays together, and that is a very healthy environment. Sometimes it's beautiful because you kind of you're always well taken care of. Even if your mom
yes,
is absent and she's busy with something, your aunt would be there or your grandmom would be there. So kids normally coming out of these families are very collaborative. They already have their in their DNA that I don't exist in isolation, I am a part of a bigger thing, right? Which is
yeah,
a very, very a special thing as you move into the real world, because that's what the real world is all about. And So that makes me understand, what could have contributed towards your final destination where you're right now. And the other thing that grabbed my attention was your entrepreneurship started very early.
Yeah.
And you said by 10th standard, you were in 2010 period where there was a big crash overall. Even the US was impacted. Everybody was impacted. And you guys went through financial struggle, and you took care of the family when you were just a 10th grader, which would be like what, 16, 17, 16, no,
14.
15, 16. Yes, which is pretty commendable. So did back then itself, give you this realization that eventually you're going to do something of your own, and I'm not going to pursue a job like a traditional job model? Or, how did that phase shape up your thought process in the years to come, that, where your journey took you next?
I think if I look at childhood, you are
Mhm.
definitely impacted by environment. Even your dreams, ambitions are strongly impacted by it. So back
Yes.
then, definitely the business environment helped, put this thought in that one should do business in life.
Mm.
It was looked upon, and everything else, including a job, was looked down upon. So that was the
Right.
environment I grew up in. But it was the values that actually stayed with me,
Mhm.
because those factors I realized, especially a good college life, changed my decision making thought process. When I got exposed to a larger audience,
Yes.
my decision making process changed. I got exposed to startups. I got exposed to research. I tried my hand at a lot of things during
Mhm.
college. My values remained the same though, which I got from my
Yes.
family, which was
Yes.
of sharing things, caring, being nice to people. So
Mhm.
all that remained same. But the IIT exposure changed it. So
Mm.
I was part of a lot of campus groups. So I was part
Okay.
of technical groups. I used
Okay.
to go to nearby villages to teach underprivileged students every weekend as a volunteer,
Nice. Okay.
and that helped me shape my thoughts around society. A semester end, we used to have a group of volunteers,
Mhm.
voluntary group, where we used to go to a social project. We used to go and study. I got to expose. I got exposure to great deal of society. I went to tribal places. We went to remote places in Rajasthan, which were water
Mm.
deprived, and we saw the projects which were being executed there by NGOs
Mhm.
of water conservation.
Yes.
While at the campus, I was exploring different things. I was exploring cutting edge of tech. So the
Mhm.
campus group I was part of has led to some of the top Indian tech startups, including
Okay.
Razorpay and many more.
Mhm.
I also explored a lot of other things. I was part of different kind of clubs. I used to try my hands at sport. I was
Mhm.
really bad, but at least I got to try my hand. I got to know a bit more about myself.
Yes.
So I think yeah, college does that for anyone. That it gives you
Yes.
so much exposure. A good college, I would say, a good
That's right.
ecosystem, and of course, the IIT ecosystem, of course, inspired us to do what we are doing at NST, especially in terms of the ecosystem and culture.
Mhm.
So that's it.
Yes. No, I totally agree, because college can make or break you. And sometimes we also make mistakes during college. At least I made a few. But that was also a good thing when I look back, yeah, I mean, the friends that I made during college, they have been like, lifelong brothers, I would say.
Exactly.
My close friends are all from my college days. And we made a few mistakes, but eventually life is long. You learn from those mistakes, and then you
Mm.
fix them and you move on. As long as you're learning from your mistakes, you're growing. So
Yeah,
mistakes are also sometimes a big, opportunities in disguise. And that's how I look at
absolutely.
them. So you will
Absolutely. And
model.
I remember Jensen Huang's quote, and I tell this to my student also. I wish
Sure.
hardships upon them. So I tell
Yes.
our students that
Yes.
college is the only place where you can actively make mistakes.
True.
Do mistakes,
Very.
but move fast from them and make as many mistakes as possible. Try
Yes.
different things out, make
Yes.
friendship. Just don't
Yes.
waste your time. This is the message I give to my students, because once you exit college and you go to real world in a
Yes.
job, in any other professional environment, you are not allowed to make mistakes.
Correct. Yes. Yes. No, I think we should spend a little more on that, because that's a beautiful, conversation, because sometimes we take our careers so seriously that, we think that, okay, oh my God, if I make a mistake, then everything is going to fall apart. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I was an A student, throughout growing up. I mean, until my 12th grade, I used to be the topper of my school, topper in sports and debates, elocutions, so many things, paintings and whatnot. But during my engineering, I was, hate to say this, but I was a waste. I mean, we just had fun and, ignored education and, studies and stuff. That had an impact on my grades when I graduated. And that gave me a tough time for the next 2 years. I was struggling to find a good job. And that was very, very hurting to me, to my self self-esteem. But the drive that came out of that period, that determination that I have to succeed, was because of that failure.
Absolutely.
If it wouldn't have been there, then probably I would have been okay, but that drive wouldn't have been there. So sometimes those things are there for a reason, and it's okay to make mistakes as long as you're learning from them, and then not repeating them, or at least trying not to repeat them,
Yeah.
and moving on. That's what matters. So sometimes failure is perfectly okay, guys. Don't always take it to the heart saying, oh, I'm a failure. And
I
sometimes,
completely second that statement.
yeah, and sometimes, being over ambitious also, Siddharth, puts you down. I mean, I have seen in myself that initial years, because of that period, the drive in me was so much that I was putting a lot of stresses on myself, and that's what led
Yeah.
me to meditation and this and that. That's why my name here is the Spiritual Techie, because I've spent 2 decades into meditation and, of course, in technology, and that was because that over stress and over ambition. And what I've discovered is that when you discover a path that you want to go on to, and then you trust the process and give your best,
Yeah.
then everything starts falling in place. As
Absolutely.
in Gita also it says, right, do your karma, do your best intended actions, and then have faith, have belief that something bigger than you is going to take care of you. As long as your actions are in alignment with the higher purpose, with the rightful process, then everything is going to fall in place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that faith is needed. Otherwise, you start becoming too stressful, and that's not a good idea. So,
Absolutely. I
yes,
second you, Kamal, and just to add a perspective over here, and this is what I tell my students, it's
yes,
completely, and one should be very, very ambitious. I
yes,
tell them you have to be
absolutely,
very ambitious because
absolutely.
India needs that ambition, India needs that rigor.
True.
Just that ambition becomes fatal when you are just looking at the results.
Yes, yes,
If you are
yes,
giving your, you need to be over ambitious with your inputs, like you said,
yes, yes, yes. No,
not
100%.
using the
But
outcomes.
no, I'm totally aligned. I think sometimes we misunderstand that, when we look at these spiritual teachers and, the spiritual giants out there, and, who are these great teachers and stuff, their teachings sometimes can be taken by people saying, oh, all they're saying is just let go and this. And
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
think ambition is needed. Ambition in alignment with your heart's calling is absolutely needed. But you
Absolutely.
need to ground that ambition with this understanding that sometimes you may put every effort into something, but it doesn't work out, and sometimes
Absolutely.
you just do a little push and everything starts falling in place. Those kind
Yeah.
of situations happen in life, and being upset or sad about either of those scenarios is not a great idea, and that's what sometimes is needed. And pursuit of greatness should be there, but
Yeah.
do it for just the wrong reasons. Have that grace
Absolutely.
in you, have that that good intentions for others, and then you will see the world respects you. The world automatically starts opening up doors for you which you may not have even seen. So that's in that background. I clearly see that IIT Roorkee, clearly gave you some, path forward, Siddharth. So I was reading one of your podcasts and listening to it, and I noticed that you went through a phase where you had some stresses and you were running some anxiety and stuff. Was it during engineering, after engineering, or was it because of some job you were not happy with? What was that phase like, and what created that, and how you came out of it?
Yeah. So it's of course a very personal question, and happy to share.
Yes,
One,
feel
it
free
has
to
been
go
happening.
as far as you want. Totally up to
Absolutely,
you.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
It has happened multiple times in life, is what I would say. The first
Sure.
time it really happened was during the JE preparation days.
Uh-huh.
The stress, the pressure build up, and of course, I was obsessed with getting a rank under 100, going to IIT
Mm,
Bombay CS.
mm.
And while I was enjoying the journey of preparing for JE so much, but that obsession, that sudden change in what is required to make it happen,
Yes.
definitely took a hit on my mental health.
Mhm,
What really helped me during that time was, one, having a very supportive family,
mhm,
and secondly, just me trying to raise myself up
mhm,
with the help of my family.
uh-huh.
So I was thankfully, and I would say I was lucky here. I was able to completely overcome my anxiety even before I gave my JE, and then having a good result further helped it. But I
Yes.
have seen also situations where a lot of students who are preparing for JE basically
Right.
are never able to recover from it. So that's an
Yes.
unfortunate tragedy in India. Then
Yes.
I also had it when I shifted to my first job. I came to Bangalore for my first job. So
Mhm.
while I was in college, I was very socially inclined. I wanted to do something big for India. I wanted to do something big for society. And when you
Mhm.
are in college, one of the things happens to you is the whole world seems to be like an open canvas.
Yes.
Everything is possibility. You
Yes.
imagine you can completely change the world. But when you
Yes.
step into the reality, of course, the reality hits you hard. You
Yes.
question everything. I was questioning, why am I doing a job? I'm sitting in such a comfortable position. There are hundreds of challenges in the society. So I think
Yes.
that change to a very corporate life initially again caused me a lot of anxiety. I realized over time that it's not the big changes in the world all the time. It's
Mhm.
basically the small changes inside you, around you, with
Mhm.
whatever your sphere of influence is. Not
Right.
worrying about the entire world at once, but whatever you can do to impact is going to be
Yes.
important. And
Yes.
that's how I came to the conclusion that, I should probably do something in education,
Mhm.
of which I was very passionate
Yes.
about.
Yes.
So yeah, I think these were the things. But I would say for anyone watching this, anxiety, stress, these are
Yes.
things you learn how to deal better with. You learn
Yes.
more about yourself, and
Yes.
meditation is something that really helps with this.
Yeah, your last statement just took that was icing on the cake. These kind of phases teach you so much about yourself that you wouldn't have, been, it wouldn't have been
Absolutely.
possible. So since you opened up about that, soft side of you, which kind of, you struggle with, even I would like to open up this one. I haven't shared this in too much detail with many people. But I came to US in 2002 and I was, as I said, right, I mean, I was fired up, I was ambitious, driven, that I think is part of our education system. Growing up in India, if you are a good student, then you're naturally by default very, ambitious and hardworking and whatnot. So first 2 years, I put so much time. I mean, I used to be like a workaholic, 14, 15 hours every day. And then in 2004, one day, out of the blue, I just got a sudden panic kind of a situation. My heartbeats went up and I thought I was having a heart attack or something. I was rushed into the hospital, 911, and under observation 24 hours. Came back. Doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with you. It was just a panic attack. You just kind of, got scared of something. So take it easy. It's just stress and anxiety. There's nothing else. Relax." But that put me down, meaning I started getting very fearful. And there used to be situations where I would just, anytime I would see a lot of situations where there will be a lot of stress, I would just backtrack and, be the silent guy in the room. And that is not me. I mean, I love to talk. I love to interact. But 3 years I was struggling with that anxiety. I was still doing my work, still fine. That's why the job was all there. Luckily, I was surrounded with amazing friends. Back then, I was working in Boston and great friends who were always there as a support system. But I know what it felt like. And the last statement that you made, that it connects you with something deeper about you. Even for me, I picked up meditation back then during 2004 incident, and it has never ever left me. And over the years, I started realizing that the clarity it was unleashing to me about who am I, what am I here for, what is my purpose, what is my path. All of those answers come to you thanks to these kind of events. So it is
Absolutely.
anything in life, I think, is taking you, pushing you forward. The only difference is whether are you learning from them or you're not. Self-reflection, connecting the dots of life, and then you will see that every downturn is basically a foundation for a much bigger upturn. And
Yeah.
I also had very similar thoughts and ideas as you, Siddharth, that how do we contribute to something bigger than us. And in 2007, I went back to India saying, I'm going to do something for India. I am done. I want to do something for India. And I think in my trip to India gave me the answers thanks to meditation and stuff, that my vision was for humanity. And it was not just one country or the other. And I decided to come back. And from there on, my career and everything has been just up, 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 up. And today I have quit Apple to kind of pursue this, entrepreneurial journey. And that's thanks to those moments. So my message to everybody who might be going through some phases, especially during preparations of IIT or whatever, yes, give your best and leave the rest to some other powers, because no matter how big your failures may be, there is something good on the, coming out of it, provided you don't quit and provided you are learning the lessons and fixing whatever is the problem and move on. So thanks for sharing that, Siddharth. I really appreciate that, because I think your students, some of them will be going through those kind of things, stresses, and they may not even speak up about these topics because
Yeah.
people think, anxiety is bad. Sometimes anxiety is the foundation for something beautiful that is going to blossom out of you. And you don't have to take it as a taboo, or what is wrong with me. No, nothing is wrong with you. So just go and rock the world, because the world is waiting for you. So
Yep.
so amazing. Siddharth, tell me about those years. Meaning, what led you to Newton School of Technology? I know you started upon that, but we didn't elaborate. You said because of those reasons, you decided you want to be an educationist, something in education. But what exactly were the details of that? If you can elaborate on that, what led
Yeah.
to the foundation of Newton School of Technology is what I'm curious about.
So if I go back to my college days, one day
Uh-huh.
I met a young guy over there.
Okay.
His name was Nishant, and today he's my co-founder there.
Yes. Yeah.
He was equally passionate about society. He was very well read. He was doing two edtech startups while in college itself.
Mhm.
After college, we went our own ways. He went on to do his MBA from IIM Kolkata. But he was so passionate about education that he did not take up a very good consult offer he got, but
Okay.
joined one of the leading education startups back then
Okay.
and worked there for a year. Mine and his path crossed when he came back to Bangalore to work in that startup.
Okay.
So he, in the initial 1 or 2 months, stayed at my place on the floor on a mattress, just on a mattress, very near to the main door. So our at
Yes.
least problem of opening the door was sorted because of him.
Uh-huh.
So we used to again chat up about what he was doing and how India was evolving. And one thing we realized, both of us were passionate about something which can impact society.
Yes.
And tier 2, tier 3 India was coming online for the first time. They also had access to payments.
Right.
What we realize is there's a very big gap in access to information, access to knowledge,
Uh-huh.
access to a lot of good things in tier 2, tier 3 India.
Right.
And that led us to start our first startup together, which was called as Bolo. So this
Okay.
was 2018.
Okay.
What Bolo means in English is speak up,
Yes.
just speak.
Yes.
And the idea was to basically connect tier 2, tier 3 Indians with the experts of different fields. So, for
Okay.
example, beauty, fashion, cooking, education.
Okay.
So, someone in tier 2 city, a girl, could talk to, let's say, a beauty fashion expert about how should she do a makeup or how should she prepare for a particular event. A student from a tier 3 college could talk to someone working in Google or a Flipkart and
Okay.
understand how to shape their career. So,
Uh-huh.
that platform had one-to-one video calling facility, and what it started leading to was that a lot of tier 2, tier 3 college students
Mhm.
in the education category started coming and connecting with these experts on the other side, which is just software developers working in the industry. And education was the category that was doing really well for us. But what we quickly realized was that most of these students, when they came to the platform, we thought they did not know anything despite the 4 years of college. They will not be able to land a job. But
Okay.
just these interaction with these mentors of them, one-to-one interactions over 10 sessions, we started seeing a big transformation in these students. And what we saw was that it was not just the skills that these professionals were able to, mentors were able to impart in these students. It
Mhm.
was basically the confidence and motivation. They
Mm.
were able to somehow motivate, somehow build that confidence
Yes.
through that personal guidance, which actually changed the student in real. If someone comes on a call and tells you that you are doing a good job, you are naturally feeling much more motivated and you strive
Yes.
to work hard. And for
Yes.
most of these students, no one cared about them in their
Mhm.
life. No
Yes.
teacher cared about them. Their college did not care about them. So that was the game changer. And what we realize is that it's not these students that are at fault. It's
Mhm.
basically a system that is broken. And let's start. But this time we were pragmatic. So we started off with an online platform. We said
Okay.
students who are graduating out of college, let's teach them online completely for
Mhm.
6 to 8 months. An intensive course where they would have someone from the industry who would come and teach them coding from 9 to 11 p.m. at night. And then they would have
Okay.
someone from the industry be a personal mentor. Because mentorship has been at the heart of Newton School. So we
Okay.
pivoted completely from Bolo to Newton School in 2019.
Mhm.
And the idea was to build an online university first. For the
Okay.
first 4 years when we did this, we started seeing very strong results.
Mhm.
Today,
Mhm.
many of our students are earning very good salary. So some
Mhm.
of them in India are earning above 100,000 US dollars, which
Wow.
is for India level very, very big amount. And
Yes.
all of these students come from very small towns or very small colleges. None of them have been to great colleges. So what that made us realize is that education, if done right, works.
Yes. Yes.
With that thought, Nishant used to often think that if we can teach these students so much for 6 to 8 months, if these students can learn so much for in 6 to 8 months, how much
Yes.
can they grow if we do this for the entire 4 years in person? And that's
Mm.
how the idea of Newton School of Technology started in 2023. So
I
our
see.
first batch of 100 students started. Uh, then in 2024 we scaled up, and now we are entering our fourth batch, and our first batch is in placements, and we are already seeing great outcomes from the students, both in terms of career and their overall holistic development, and you are a witness to it.
Yes.
So what we do at Newton School, I'm not going to go into what
Yes.
Newton School of Technology has been able to achieve. There have been, but I'll simply put it is the achievements of students are at par in many cases to the top IIT students in
Okay.
coding contests or
Yes.
open source contributions, or even the kind of jobs they're getting.
Yes.
But I want to talk about what is changing over here. So at the core of what we are building is basically we are getting people from the industry who know the subject, who have done it, who have built it,
Yes.
to come as faculty member over here. So what we realized when we were doing our online program is that
Okay.
around 10% people in the industry are passionate about education, want to
Yes.
somehow come back to education. But
Yes.
one, the colleges of today don't pay well. Second, the ecosystem is all political and bureaucratic. They can't
Yes.
do what they really like.
Yes.
And at NST, this is the core of what we do, which is we are somehow able to attract great
Yes.
people from the industry to be full-time faculty members with us. So we have people from
Interesting.
who have been software developers at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, at ISRO, at startups, to come and become full-time faculty members with us.
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting.
And second, we have built a culture of building. So we explicitly tell our students when they enter that you're coming to an environment which is quite, builder oriented. You'll have fun, but you'll have to work really hard. You'll have to work
Yes.
for 12 hours a day on average for your
Yes.
next 4 years. If you're ready, come. So that
Yes.
acts as a very strong self-selection. And we
Yes.
also put a very strong bar on aptitude, maths for who we take in.
Right.
So this culture over here, where students between themselves are looking up, the things that are getting celebrated is who built a startup, who won a competition, leads to a very healthy competition among students. And then these students, guided by the faculty with a very modern, ever evolving curriculum, just changes the game for these students.
Yes.
And this is what is there. I tell my students also, see, we at NST are not doing anything magical. We have brought in these set of people, we have brought in this curriculum,
Yes.
and it's your magic, it's your hard work added to this, your intent added to this, which is doing the magic. So this is what we are doing at Newton School
I
of
mean, I
Technology.
think there are very interesting points here that I'd like to, double down on here, Siddharth, because, first of all, you said, when you inspire people, give the confidence, believe in them, then
Yes.
something inside them shifts. And I'm a strong proponent of that. I've spent 2 decades plus in the industry, have worked with Fortune 100 companies, throughout my career, and then ended up with Apple, where I've spent like 12 years as an employee, 3 years as a consultant for them initially. And I have myself seen that, a manager can make you or break you. Meaning, if your manager is somebody who believes in you and,
Yes.
stands behind you, then you can do wonders. And I am seeing, and on the other hand, a not so good manager can demoralize you also to not be that great. So who is your leader, who's standing behind you, really makes a difference. And I think the best way to get the best out of people is to not put them down, but to pick them up. If they lack
Absolutely.
you have a shortcoming, then you don't break them to show them their weakness. Focus more on what is good about them, and then mix that what is bad about them, a little bit of that, so that they can improve and inspire them. Then you will see consistently people do wonders. And I have myself seen that currently we have 7 interns that we have hired from Newton School of Technology. And these guys are going above and beyond every day. I'm just blown away by their capabilities and, how much heart they're putting into it, how much knowledge they already have, and the overall understanding, the IQ level is pretty high. And you mentioned that, you want to take it at par with IITs and stuff. Here's some interesting thing. I mean, when I was looking at Newton School of Technology for interns, I have another, my CTO is an IIT Dhanbad guy, and 2021 graduate, and he's a very smart guy in the top 3000 rank and stuff. So I suggested him this idea, like, maybe we should go here. And he was like, Kamal, this is they are kids. I'm like, I know what kids are capable, so let's try, let's give it a shot. And then there's this Akanksha, was already introduced to us. So she told me, no, NST is very good. Our kids are at par with IITs. And I took it with a pinch of salt. I was like, come on, how can a local school be at par with IITs? But here's the fun thing. My CTO is an IIT himself. When he came back after the interview round, he was like, I was like, how was it? His name is Ayush. And I was like, Ayush, how was it? He was like, Kamal, these are very good. I mean, these kids are very good. And I was like, but are they at par your IIT level? And he started smiling. He's like, I think they are. I mean, they are pretty good. And I'm very curious what they do. And now when I take his feedback about your, students, and even he's so happy. He's like, this has been a game changer, because we started, I was just coming out of Apple. I quit Apple, and that's where I started June 1st, when we started the whole process. And within these 6 weeks, the kind of work that has been produced, it blows my mind that how can you do so much in 6 weeks. And I took a backseat role where we are like, okay, we're not going to build anything. We're going to let these kids do it. Our role should be mentors, guides. Let's guide them. Let's mentor them. We give them the ideas. We brainstorm with them. We give them the inspiration and the motivation to go on. But let all the heavy lifting be done by these kids. And that has been a brilliant strategy for us. They are doing wonders, and all thanks to you guys, because you thought out of the box. That was a very out of the box thinking, that education can be this way, because traditional education hasn't been. I know fresh graduates coming out of engineering colleges literally know nothing. All they know is problem solving skills. But beyond that, it's not like they're not ready for a job market. These kids are, right?
True.
And you also talked about the fact that you
Super
guys
glad to hear this.
faculties.
Super glad
What's
to
that?
hear this. One of the things I find challenging about today's education system is
Uh-huh.
somehow it tries to bucket you a lot. This is something that
Yes.
even we have to think more ahead at NST.
Yes.
Every student has a different potential, but we
Yes.
bracket them that till
Yes.
11th you will study this much, till high school you
Yes.
will only study till this much, in
Yes.
college you will study this much. You can have different colleges who are teaching at different intensity, but you can,
Yes.
let's say, only build a company out at this age, that
Yes.
stuff. Whereas
Right.
humans are capable of infinite potential. They can do
Absolutely.
wonders even at young age. And especially if you look at all the great people of the world, they started very early.
Exactly.
So
Right. Completely agree. Yes. Go on, please.
so I think, yeah, students have very strong potential, and that's what also we tell our students, that whether you are first year, fourth year, doesn't matter.
Yes.
What really matters is what's your drive, what's your willingness to put the work, hard work, and make
Yes.
things happen.
Yes.
We have seen many of our first year students who really will in building their own companies. Many of them actually, there are students who are earning more than 1 lakh rupees per month while they are
Mhm.
in their first or second year also.
Of
Many
course.
of them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
students have infinite potential. We
Yes.
need to remove this false ceiling of you
Yes.
can only do this much, or this
Yes.
comparison. So that is
Yes.
also something we try to do at NST.
Yes.
And what really helps in this process is examples,
Yeah.
which is our students breaking the glass ceiling. I'll give an
Mm-hmm.
example over here. One of our students today is a GNSS engineer, which means he's working on cutting edge work in the field of satellites and space tech.
Okay.
He's now also doing work in signal.
Okay.
Conventionally, he was not supposed to do that, but he's just in
Mhm.
second year. He's doing phenomenal work there. And
Mhm.
I feel that this is an inspiration to many more students, especially
Yes.
when India needs a lot of deep tech engineers.
Yes.
So yeah, we need to break this glass ceiling, artificial ceiling that a lot of students have.
Yes. Yes. That makes me wonder, you said India needs more deep tech expertise. 100%. I agree. Not only India, I think the world needs it. And I think by now it's very clear that, technology wise, the Indian engineers are way ahead, and they are really good at what they do. So, how in the world of AI, Siddharth, I have a lot of questions around, how this will impact our society, our cultures, our so many things. I mean, I think there's already, no career which is already not impacted by AI in some form or the other. So you guys seem to be on the right side of the change of wind, because you're already making your kids specialize in AI, ML, and whatnot. But how do these other colleges adapt? Because whatever they're teaching in different areas in the world of AI, I don't think the same skill sets work anymore. So we'll talk a lot about these things in the next few sections. But as a starting point, what is your take of AI impacting overall careers for humans? And how do people safeguard themselves, especially the kids? What careers do they pick up? Where do they go? I'm not saying skill sets and stuff, because skill sets are learned. I feel overall careers itself are undergoing radical changes, right? So what are your thoughts on AI and job markets and stuff at a high level? That will, I think, set us up for the next segment, where I'd like to go deeper into those.
Yeah. So Kamal, actually, I'd like to start with a question to you.
Uh-huh.
So while you were in Apple, during your last years, did you imagine that you would be doing this work 20 years back when you first joined Apple?
No, of course not.
So one thing about careers, not just today, has even in the past, long past,
Right.
has been that people's careers are not predictable. You start
Yes.
with something, you end up with something.
Yes.
It's all about the willingness to learn, willingness to have the right attitude, and
Mhm.
put in the work required to make it happen. So
True.
that is there. The best of people around us never started,
Yes.
in a certain domain. I give this example a lot, that I'm pretty sure that the people who are top in the finance world do
Mhm.
not come from economics or finance courses from tier 2 colleges in US. They would
Right.
be coming from the best colleges with very different branches. A lot
Yes.
of them are from physics, rocket, aerospace engineering, a lot of them.
Right.
So, first of all, careers have always kept on evolving. What work
Yes.
used to happen in Apple today, the way it happens, was very different like just 20 years back.
Right. Right. Of course.
So, careers, everyone around us, especially students, should be aware, because what happens is when a student enters a college, they enter with the mindset of what's happening around them, which is
Mhm.
what they see is a certain kind of software engineering job.
Yes.
Microsoft coming in, a Google coming in, and basically hiring you to write code in a
Mhm.
certain way.
Right.
This did not used to happen 10 years back. If I remember my time back in India, there were hardly jobs. Just 10
Mhm.
years back, I'm talking about. So, first,
Yes.
I'll talk a bit about how India's job landscape itself has evolved. So, back in 2014, there were
Mhm.
hardly 50,000 high quality software developer jobs between
Okay.
MNCs, those companies who had set up offices in India, and
Mhm.
startups of India. The rest, 1.5 lakh were low paying IT services jobs. Today, that number of IT services job is still 1.5 lakh. The
Mhm.
number of jobs in MNCs and startups has grown to more than 3.5 lakhs.
Oh wow.
And these are usually high paying jobs.
Mhm. Yes.
Back then, in my time, computer science, I had one of the highest packages, which was of 14 lakh rupees per annum. Today, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure IIT computer science lowest package would be of 14 lakh rupees.
Yeah.
And the highest goes to like 1 crore. Now, two things have happened. Like you
Yeah.
said, why has this happened? Was this supposed to happen? No. I think one, like you said, Indians are definitely climbing the ladder when it comes
Mm.
to the kind of skill set they possess, the kind of attitude they possess, the kind of rigor they possess.
Yes.
Also, I'll say a
Yes.
controversial statement and, disagree with your earlier statement that Indians are the ahead of others in engineering. No, I don't think so. We
Okay.
lack the rigor, we lack the ambition, the pursuit of greatness which
That I
Chinese
agree.
have
Yes.
and the best of America has. America
Right.
is great today for a reason. So
Absolutely.
we have our challenges, but we also have these, this mindset problem. So first of
Yes.
all, I clearly tell my students we are not great people. We have to be great, but first we have to,
Absolutely.
be in the
Yes.
reality. And that is
Yes.
one reason we send our students to China every year to
Okay.
go and see, what's happening there, and their minds are blown.
Mhm.
When they come back, their minds are blown. Coming back to, how the job shift is going to happen, I
Mhm.
think increasingly if we look at the jobs, the nature of jobs, it has
Mhm.
moved higher the value chain. People are not just looking for people who can write code. You remember back then, there would be a lot of people, you just ask them to write a class or a simple function.
Yes.
In India itself, even before AI, today the world is hiring Indians as deep problem solver, architects, people who
Right.
can be product managers, designers, the best of talent. India is
Of-
getting hired over here because of the best of talent. With
Yes.
AI, I see the abstraction level move out even further, which is the world is going to need a lot more builders and
Mhm.
people, who
Yes.
have, you can say, certain tastes. They need to understand design, they need to understand users, they need to understand business, they need to
True.
also understand building. They need to
Yes.
be able to work in teams, they need to be able to
Yes.
architect, they need to be able to make trade-offs, decisions, performance basis the business context.
Yes.
So the world is going to require people of higher caliber, people who can do all of this and build using AI.
Yes.
So that's there.
Yes.
With respect to job, I definitely see certain kind of jobs will go away. That would
Yes.
include people who were just code writers. They had
Correct.
a lot of value some time back, but now
Right.
it's not needed. The
Yes.
change will be gradual.
Yes.
At the same time, I see the world needing a lot more builders.
Mhm. Agreed. And I would like to expand on that, why I feel that your statement is absolutely true. Okay, I think we'll have a very two different forces acting at the same time. Okay, what I mean by that is On one hand, you will definitely see that not only in coding, but in other areas also, the number of jobs will go down because AI will start automating pretty much all of many of the things. And it's not only coding, lawyers, medical professionals, content creators, marketing, everywhere. I think you're going to see AI taking up more and more. And naturally, when something is going up, in automation, the number of jobs will reduce on the other hand. Now, so that's a bad thing. But at the same time, the coding, which used to take, armies of engineers, now you can do with a handful of people and create amazing things. And I feel entrepreneurship is all about looking around you in the society and seeing where are opportunities for me to create value. I
Absolutely.
think a typical businessman is different and an entrepreneur is different. An entrepreneur is not just doing it for the money sake. It's he or she is looking at problems, the real world problems, and saying, how can I solve that? And initially, even if you had some great ideas and you realize gaps in society, but to solve them, to build something around them would take much more money and time and effort and people. Now that cycle is reduced. So what will this ecosystem, on one hand you have the jobs reducing, on the other hand I think you will see more and more entrepreneurs with radical ideas coming up and saying, okay, I can build this, I can do
Yeah.
this. And that is a builder mentality. That is, anybody can do anything now. So there is no ceiling anymore that, oh, I can't have this, small app that does this, and I'm okay to give it just for $5. Why not? $5 app, being used by 10,000 people is $50,000, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of a math people will have to start doing, and rolling out small ideas, apps or websites or whatever, and that is going to start bringing the balance back. So I think we will have a period for a few years where the things may seem rocky because people will lose jobs or come under stresses and whatnot. But eventually, as it always happens, humanity will still survive and thrive because
Yeah.
of this entrepreneurs, building up and saying, yeah, I can do this, I can build this. And that is the shift that we are seeing. That's why even if we come back to the coding mentality, I think the developers will now have to think more like product managers. Like they can't be just, oh, I know how to write code. Claude Code can do
Absolutely.
that much faster, much better. Your job is not to just code, but look around the corners, think deeper, and ask relevant questions. Why is this needed? So overall, I think the entrepreneurship will definitely, be getting bigger and bigger. That means you will still need builders, you will still need developers, but the quality of developers will evolve. They will not be just pure coders. They'll be thinkers themselves who will not just blindly take an order from a BPR person, just who understands business and say, okay, tell me what to code and I'll code. No, that process, that thought process has to change. And that tells me that I think we will need excellence in the level of coding. I think average is over across the board, not just in
Yeah.
coding, but in every sphere, in every business segment. I think there's no place for average people because anything that an average people used to do, AI can do better than that, right?
Yes.
And that I think is going to be a very painful shift for many people, unfortunately, because you will have to raise the bar. And that's where I feel I have to contribute a lot to society, because my spiritual journey has taught me one thing, Siddharth, and that is, I think as humans, we are always, no matter who you are, you're always gifted with something unique about you. It is just a matter of you processing your own thoughts, your own inner self, and asking yourself, who am I and what am I here to do? That question shifts everything, and do it with sincerity. Take that moment for yourself, take a break for a few days, ask that question and see what comes out, and then build things around that question. Then you are unstoppable. Then you go on to, definitely you go on to build something amazing. And even if you're not able to do some planet level evolutionary stuff, still whatever you will be building will be good enough for you to live well and be happy inside and fulfilled. And that, I think, shift is going to happen because of AI. And that is the good part of AI. So on one hand, yes, some people may see AI as, disruptive force, which is going to, impact humanity. But on the other hand, I see this as an evolutionary process where some people who were just stuck in jobs which were not in alignment with who they are, and because of those reasons they were average, now will be pressed hard by the creation itself and saying, okay, go beyond that and do something which is in alignment with your passions. And the passions usually come from your heart. It comes from the space of who you are, and then you are unstoppable. Build something around that. So coding will be needed, builders will be needed 100%. In fact, the need for these people will expand even more, but the questions will have to be different, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, curious to see what are your thoughts on this, whatever I just mentioned. Do you agree, disagree? You also feel that this kind of a shift is going to happen in the next few years? What are your take on that?
Definitely the job market is going to see a big shift. And like you said, builders are going to be needed
Yes.
in large quantities and
Yes.
qualities,
Yes.
both. And the value of them is also going to go up. As
Yes.
more software engineers have come into the world, the more code is being written. We've
Yes.
only seen their salaries rising up.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
definitely a value of builder is going to be go up. And one very
Yes.
interesting thing that you mentioned is that we will see a lot more entrepreneurs coming up, because AI is going to allow a lot of micro entrepreneurs, or make the
Yes.
bar to become an entrepreneur much easy. Like
It's much.
this is something again I tell my students, that today you can create images, you can create
Yes.
videos, you can create websites. There's nothing stopping you from doing the work of an entire startup.
Correct.
And that is why I believe that we will see much more startups,
Yes.
many more problems being solved which were not solved previously, or
Right.
being now solved in a much more efficient way that allows humans to do probably better work or move up the value chain.
Yes.
That is what I'm seeing. So I'll give you an example of a student startup of ours, which I don't think was possible some years back. So they're basically building custom CRM tools for individual factories. So let's say in a chemical factory or a real estate
Right.
ecosystem. So they're building custom CRMs today for them, and they're being
Yes.
paid well. They're just entering their final year, and they're already earning well.
Yes.
And that is only possible because with AI, they are now much faster building stuff, and they're
Right.
really good builders.
Yes.
So what I'm seeing is a lot of such things around me. I'm seeing people, for example, the quality of content creation at Newton School of Technology by faculty members is
Right.
going up, because now they can create better illustrations,
Yes.
they can brainstorm better examples.
Yes.
So I think AI can also help us achieve this greatness, and that's the
No,
beauty of it.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean that's a shift I'm talking about. For example, things like you said, you can create images, you can do pictures, videos, whatnot. So if you just randomly keep on doing that and posting on Instagram, okay, fine. Everybody wants to be an influencer, right? These days. But my thought is that why just restrict yourself to be an influencer? Think deep, go beyond. Meaning simple thing like you have old pictures, right? Of your parents, grandparents, they are at black and white and whatnot. Maybe you start a small business that helps revive your old memories, give them colors, or take old pictures, which are, were created back in the 70s, 80s, and now turn it into a small video and build a business around it that you can offer to people for whom those kind of memories make sense. Another idea.
Absolutely. I'll give you another example of what we are trying at Newton School of Technology. So while we have started off with computer science as the major thing, we want to actually create leaders and talent for India that fills the gap in every critical technology. For example,
Yes.
semiconductors. But now we don't have an expertise in that. We
Right.
won't The economics of it won't make a lot of sense for us at this moment. But with AI, we are experimenting with allowing students to learn just using semiconductors. So we are designing course where with much less faculty, today probably students can take a completely AI powered minor. So those kind of experiments are today possible.
Right.
Thus, AI can help change game for low income countries when it comes to education, healthcare,
Yes.
starting your own company, serving a
Yes.
global market, much more.
Yes.
So to me, I'm an eternal optimistic. I always believe that the world is becoming a much better place.
Same here.
Because if I look at my life at, let's say if I was born 500 years back, unless I
Right.
was born a king, I would have probably been born in a village, might have
Yes.
gone to a village or two nearby and spend my entire life and die.
Right.
we are seeing the world becoming a beautiful place, a safer
Yes.
place, despite whatever we see on social media.
Absolutely,
So
100%. I'm 100% aligned with you, Siddharth, and that's why I'm enjoying this conversation so much. In fact, that's the reason I'd love to do podcasts, because I love to talk to people who have, some radical ideas, deep thoughts, and stuff. And I wanted to reflect on your statement that the world is always getting better. There were moments in my life, when I was low, as I said right earlier, that stress and anxiety had really gripped me, and there were moments where I felt that I didn't fit into the system, and I didn't fit here, I didn't fit there. And, a lot of questioning and meditation was really helping me. In those moments, I think one day I had come across a quote by Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. And that was, he said, throughout human history, there have been tyrants, murderers, destroyers. And for a brief period of history, they always seem unbeatable, indestructible. But he said, when, in the long run, they always fall. The good comes out of it. And then I was like, okay, I like to reflect on everything that touches my heart, and go into the detail of it and saying, okay, is it really true? Does the data support this statement? So I zoomed in. I was like, okay, if I zoom out and look at the whole evolution of mankind, yes, there have been wars, there have been battles, there have been, so much stuff. We were riding horses, fighting wars on that. Then the guns came and the cannons came, and then the World War I, World War II. But when you zoom out and you look at it and say, okay, there was those blips of history when things were just falling apart. But overall, humanity was still evolving and getting more and more advanced and better and better and better. So if that is true, that has been true forever, how can the age of AI also destroy humanity? Not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. We are so resilient beings that we always figure out a way to move forward. So yes, coming back to AI, yes, there will be, those blips of period where some people will go through turmoils, and both emotional, financial, whatnot. But if they don't give up and keep on evolving, then the next phase is going to be wonderful for us as human race. And I'm so much optimistic about it. And I think that is unstoppable. That's how it's going to unfold. I don't think humanity is going away, AI or no AI. We are good. So that's my thought
absolutely.
on that. Yes. So let's shift the focus a little bit here, Siddharth. You guys are definitely, on the right track with everything that we're discussing. And I have observed, based on my personal experience with your interns and stuff, how do you see the other colleges evolve in this? Because I'm still seeing, my daughter is now studying in UC Irvine, the next to LA. And she, I don't want to quote anybody, don't want to get into trouble, but there was some pushback from her saying, Dad, this is, I'm not allowed to do ChatGPT. I was like, why wouldn't you do that? And she's like, da 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 da, whatever her answers. And my thought was like, no, I mean, big corporations, across the board are pushing their employees to use more AI so that they can be more proficient with it. And if the students are not encouraged to use that, then it's not a good idea. I mean, those, we should be encouraging kids, saying, okay, whatever you could do with the head, just, anything that is dumb work, give it to ChatGPTs of the world, and you go beyond that. You make the AI work for you by asking more intelligent, smarter questions. I think that is the right way to be moving forward, and colleges and universities will need to adopt this kind of a mindset, right? So what are
Absolutely.
you seeing in the Indian ecosystem? How is this happening, impacting beyond NST or Newton School of
Yeah.
Technology? What is a mindset shift or not, no shift?
Education as a whole, academia, especially higher education, not just in India,
Mhm.
I would say in US, is in a crisis
Yeah.
of identity.
Yes.
There are, daily reports of students using it to cheat,
Yes.
plagiarize, and it is leaving faculty members perplexed. They don't have an
Yes.
answer to it. And what is
Yes.
happening is, in this fear, in this anxiety, I'm seeing a radical pushback on any kind of use of AI by
Mhm.
most colleges,
Mhm.
most faculty. So now
Mhm.
I have a nuanced view over here.
Right.
And even though we have calculators, it is
Mhm.
important to teach students how to do it by themselves, because
Yes,
they will
of
never
course.
otherwise understand it.
True.
So fundamentals are going to be important. If you want
Yes.
someone to be a great software developer using AI, they'll need
Yes.
to be a great software developer also. They'll need to
Yes.
understand the strong The world over, the education is in a
Yes.
academy is in a crisis. They
Yes.
have a crisis of identity, of what our role is going to be,
Yes.
what to do about our standard methods so far that we have created to
Yes.
prevent
Yes.
plagiarism. All of that has gone for a toss. No
Yes.
plagiarism detection software is working on AI today. Let's
Yes.
be honest about it.
Yes.
There have been cases where a completely human written document is detected by AI detectors as 100% AI written. There have been cases like this on Twitter. I've seen that.
Okay.
So academia is in a crisis. Now there are
Mm.
two things going to happen. One, places like us. So for example, at NST, we have embraced it. How we have
Mhm.
embraced this, also I'll tell you. When we have changed this mindset, we actively tell students it is okay to use AI. You need
Mm.
to learn to use it judicially. You
Correct.
need to learn to use it in the right way because companies are not expecting a blind use. Otherwise, they
Yes.
could simply replace it you with an
Yes.
AI. There
Yes.
is an importance of a human in between to do the right thing.
Yes. Absolutely.
So one
Absolutely.
we are doing is we are completely overhauling our. So I'll divide the computer science curriculum into three parts.
Mhm.
One is the development itself, which
Mhm.
anyways most colleges don't teach, and that is why the students today are not industry ready. So that's the
Okay.
first time they don't build things while they're in campus. So we
Mhm.
have complete track on building things,
Mhm.
which is software development, right? Front end code, back end code.
Right.
That we are overhauling completely using
Mm.
AI. So we actively promote use building using AI. So in the course, you will come and first build using AI.
Okay.
And then we'll tell you go and learn the fundamentals. We'll teach
Mm.
you the fundamentals, and
Mhm.
then we'll quiz you in a very proctored environment on
Okay.
those fundamentals where now you are not allowed to use AI. There are assignments where you are allowed to use AI. There are
Mhm.
assignments where you are not allowed to use AI. The
Okay.
idea is to build strong fundamentals of that. But
Yes.
what it is allowing us to do is focus less on the syntax,
Mhm.
but more on the fundamentals, even in the development side. What
Right.
used to take us 6 months to teach can now be taught in 2 months
Mhm.
because we
Yes.
don't really need the student to learn every bit of syntax.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
focus has shifted from syntax to basically one building and
Mm.
second on the fundamentals on
Yes.
strong performance, how to architect things.
Yes.
Second layer that we are actively building on, which is quite weak in Indian colleges, is maths.
Mhm.
Maths is very important if you want to be a great problem solver. Your brain
Abs-
has to be sharp.
Yes.
And increasingly for AI, it is going to be even
Yes.
important. So maths and
Yes.
AI track remain pretty much as it is
Mhm.
for us. We again encourage use of AI, but maths is something we are leveling up. The kind of
Yes.
faculty we now have for maths is very high quality. Is computer science fundamentals. I
Mm.
believe they are becoming more and more important, and that is one area where India as a whole is weak.
Okay.
So basically, subjects like compilers, operating system, networks, because
Mhm.
now with AI, like you said, today
Mm.
you don't expect a good product. Every
Mhm.
product has to be great. It has to be great
Exactly.
looking. It has to
Yes.
be great with performance. You know
Yes.
all that, and especially if you are going into any AI system,
Hmm.
you're whether on the infra side, basically building the infra layer, or even you are leveraging AI, you need to understand the performance bits because all of that is costly. Every single decision over there is, even if you are using token or building an infra layer, everything
Mhm.
over there is costly.
Mm.
And that is a weak part where we are trying to build very strong fundamentals of students.
Okay.
Again, here also we encourage students to use AI to learn, but there are going to be proctored classes. Now
Mm.
coming to Indian academia as a whole,
Mhm.
there are good attempts in Indian academia. IIT standard, I would say, has improved.
Mhm.
By and large, Indian academia has improved, but it is still very far from what the world is. And it is, I would say, while the Indian academia may not be able to adapt, Indian
Mhm.
students will definitely adapt. So
That is
for,
for sure. Yes.
and I don't care about Indian academia, honestly. I care about the students.
Yes.
And I see them, using AI to become better, to learn
Yes.
more things. And
Mm.
that is going to be great because
Yes.
what they could not get in classes today, they can learn on their computers using ChatGPT or a Claude.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is, on a whole, I'm pretty sure that 4 years down the line, especially they need to be guided in the right way, that
Yes.
you need to use it judicially. But if
Yes.
they do it, a lot of them are going to be really good.
Mm. Mm. Those were some great insights, Siddharth. I really loved some of the things that you said, and that was bringing, some thought in my head that I think you should not only just do Newton School of Technology, but you should also be some kind of a champion for overall education shift slash disruption that is very, very evident now. It's inevitable. And, beyond your just Newton School of Technology to other universities, other colleges, not just AI spheres, but other forms of education like BAs, MAs, everywhere the shift is going to be there. So are you doing something or reflecting on those levels? to go beyond this and impact overall education in India?
So our vision is to open source what we are doing.
Okay.
Talk about how we do, what have been our experiments. In fact, now
Wonderful.
there are there are professors from IITs who are studying our work and hopefully producing a paper or two around these things. So the
Okay.
eventual goal is to open source, because
Nice.
the reality is what we are building at NST in any institute, you
Yes.
can't and go beyond serving all the students in India. You can't serve 10 lakh
Yeah.
engineering aspirants in India.
You're
So
right.
the idea is to create a model which hopefully others will copy, seeing the success. So that's the
Yes.
vision that we have. And definitely, as we grow as a company, we become stronger financially in every way possible. Our hope is to be able to impact education at large.
Yes.
And we see not just our faculty or our system, but students as a very strong ally in doing this.
So Siddharth, so I'm happy that you're thinking of open source and sharing your learnings with the rest of the people who will be needing these kind of insights and stuff. And that brings me to a point that I would like to draw for the audience, because I think many of the students will be listening to this podcast. Just understand that an entrepreneur is always thinking how to help society in a better way. So the traditional models of business, doing business for the sake of business and just for money, I think those are done. Now you guys need to be thinking like, how can I do something which is going to help x number of people, and then use technology to amplify your outreach to not just x but 100,000x, and then you are a millionaire, then you're a billionaire. So that's a mindset shift. And I think be an entrepreneur, look at society where you can add value and then build a business idea around it, and then you take it to the world. And that's the secret to being rich, fulfilled, and successful, all one in ecosystem. And I think Siddharth is an excellent example of that same philosophy. And I'm so happy that you're, thinking on those lines as well, Siddharth. And in that process, what would be your 2 cents to people who are listening in? Because what you are describing is literally a concept that I like to call it as the enlightened entrepreneurship model. To me, what I've reflected is, I think companies, there are good companies, and then there are great companies. Companies like, for example, Google, even Apple, for example. I don't think they were ever created saying, okay, where's the max amount of money? No, they were all around what's coming from within and then taken to the world. I mean, there are, Google's, if you look at the starting point of Google, you will see that. Recently, I was revisiting Steve Jobs' movie, Jobs, on Netflix. And again, the same idea struck me. When Apple was formed, Steve Wozniak, was having this very rudimentary model, and he showed it to Steve Jobs, and he was excited. And then Wozniak was like, no, 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 this can't be a product. No way, no way, no way. And then Steve Jobs made a very important observation. He said, okay, you made this for your own satisfaction. And Wozniak was like, yeah, I did it for myself. He's like, okay, the fact that this idea came to you, the fact that you felt you needed something like this, tells me that if you will pursue this and take it to the next level, there's a very good chance that there are going to be a bunch of other people out there who will want the same thing that you wanted for yourself. And I was like, okay, that is in line with my enlightened entrepreneurship philosophy, that I think God or universe or creation, whatever you want to call it, I think we are gifted with some of those ideas, and it is our job in a lifetime to kind of do something about it without being too worried about the end results. Because when you are coming from that space and building something and rolling it out to the world, the way entrepreneurship works is even $1 multiplied by 100,000 people is $100,000. So that's how we have to look at this very flattened and connected world. And that is the seed of some genuine entrepreneurship, which is going to be needed in the world of AI moving forward, I feel. And, so what would be your recommendations or suggestions to people who might be going through these kind of journeys as what you've already gone through? And what would be your guidance to them?
I would say the journey of entrepreneurship is a lot about the building of the entrepreneur himself or herself.
Yes.
So the biggest thing that comes out of the journey of the entrepreneurship is the entrepreneur themselves.
Right.
It takes a lot of changes in oneself, set changes and physical capability changes to be able to build a great company. And I think it boils down to a couple of things. One is having a large vision. You may not be always, working on it. So
Yes.
Google, when they started off, they always had a large vision. They've
Yes.
always been ahead of time. They're being invested in quantum computing technology, AI, when it was not even at nascent stage.
Mhm.
So especially for Indians, I think having that vision, large vision of doing something big is very important.
Sure.
Second, I would say having a very optimistic and fearless mindset is very important. That doesn't mean you have to be a fool, but
Yes.
only optimistics end up building a great company. Because
Yes.
every
Yes.
company today you look at, seed
Yes.
stage company, had difficulty raising funds,
Yes.
especially if they were first time founders. What it
Yes.
tells us is that even for the greatest of founders, it
Yes.
was not obvious to the people, smartest people around them, that this is
Yes.
going to be a great company.
Yes.
You look at the journey of Apple.
Yes.
They raised funds, but it was not very easy or very obvious.
Of
You look
course.
at the example of Airbnb. Today it is a
Yes.
$100 billion company. They were
Yes.
passed on by 200 VCs.
Yes.
Company
Yeah.
which is today $100 billion was
Yes.
not at all obvious to people back then. The smartest people whose job was to make money were putting
Yes.
money in other companies.
Yes.
So it's all about you. So my core belief is that entrepreneurs will things into existence.
Mm.
Third,
Yes.
it is all about hiring, surrounding yourself with the right people
Mm.
and building the right culture, especially a culture of greatness.
Very true. Very true.
So
Yes.
I would say, I would boil down what I've learned about entrepreneurship. And there's a
Mm.
great deal of things I have to learn in the next 30 years, 40 years, hopefully.
Yes.
But these are the three key things I've learned so far: that have
Mm.
a great vision,
Yes.
be very optimistic and fearless,
Yes.
and third, build a great team and culture.
Yes. Fantastic. I think those are very, great key takeaways because, many people will talk about this and that, but, nobody talks about having a great vision. There's something magical about a great vision. If you have an utopian dream, then I feel sooner or later, if you don't, quit, sooner or later, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. I mean, I told you about my journey in 2007 when I went back to India. I was like, I really want to do something for India back then. But in India, my vision expanded. I was like, no, I want to do something for humanity. Even when I go back to my college days, I've reflected on these things in my, meditations and stuff. I used to tell my friends that one day I'm going to build something that is going to put a smile on people's faces. And they were like, kya karega? They didn't know what I was going to do. And now, finally, that journey, I've quit Apple and I'm trying to build something that genuinely helps people in the age of AI and whatnot. So dreams don't die, especially the ones that come from your heart, from your soul. Sooner or later, they will manifest. They will
True.
come into fruition. And our job as entrepreneurs is to hold on to those dreams, keep taking, the baby steps. Sometimes the situations may not be ideal for you to take immediate action. So then give it time. Wait on it, keep pushing the ball a little bit forward every single day, and one day or the other it's going to start coming together. So for me,
Absolutely.
finances were important, my family and everybody. So I couldn't take that jump right away, and say, okay, I'm going to do this. The fear factor was immense, and that is a bad thing for an entrepreneur. Being fearful is the worst thing that you can do.
True.
But my journey has shown me that even that you can overcome over a period of time. Maybe your journey, somebody's journey manifests right away. For somebody, it takes time. So, whatever it is, but don't quit, keep doing, keep working, and you're going to get there. So,
Absolutely.
yes. And culture, yes, so, so, so true. If you're not surrounding your team members to be at the same value system as you, then sooner or later you're going to get into troubles with, the whole thing, and the organization is never going to go beyond a certain level. So again, a great input. So Siddharth, that was great. I think now I can move into this final section. I have to be mindful of the time as well. And, we've spoken for a good 1+ hour. I think I can talk with you forever, but still, we need to wrap this up. So looking forward, how do you see your vision evolving? What are some of the near-term targets you're seeing? How is the future for you in the next 5 to 10 years, I would say?
Yeah. I would say that one, NST vision itself is very large,
Mm-hmm.
and at its core, what we are doing is the job of building great humans.
Right.
It is going to be a work in progress, and I tell
Mm.
my students also, it will be built iteratively. There will be
Mhm.
mistakes we'll do. There'll
Yes.
be things we'll get right. We'll compound, keep on compounding on the right things. We'll keep on collecting them. We'll build the
Yes.
right culture. So I
Yes.
think first and foremost, we have to build NST into an institution whose
Mhm.
impact is, let's say, eventually at the level of what Stanford has been able to create an impact on the
Amazing.
US.
Okay.
So that is what our aim. It is to raise the bar of it means to be a talent coming out from college. What
Hmm.
is possible in India
Right.
to the levels of what China's elite talent is or US elite talent is. So that
Hmm.
is what our aim is. I
Sure.
won't say we are there right now. We are far
Hmm.
from it. But
Okay.
to build it over the years iteratively is the goal. And I
Hmm.
see that we'll get very close to it in the next 5 to 10 years. So that is
Okay.
one core thing. Second, I believe that as Indians, when it comes to technological advances, we are quite behind. And one big
Hmm.
reason is the talent landscape
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm.
That is changing. We are on the cusp of change. India
Hmm.
has a lot of deep tech startups,
Sure.
a lot more activity happening beyond the typical IT services what you had earlier.
Right.
And I would want to create that culture within Newton School of Technology of research, of innovation. This year, we have seen our students publish in some of the top AI journals of the world.
Hmm.
We have seen our students pursue research internship. Many of them are starting to take those risky bets of not pursuing conventional internships or jobs and pursuing
Hmm.
something great.
Hmm.
So that is also happening. So
Okay.
yeah, in the years to come, I would also like to see a lot more R&D happening within Newton School of Technology. Probably that itself becoming a big revenue source through which we are also able to, let's say, fund some of the underprivileged students.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, today the economics doesn't allow us to give a lot of scholarships out, especially to people from underprivileged sections. So
Right.
I hope we are able to create a model of revenue based on R&D, based on the talent of these students and our
Hmm.
faculty, which is much larger in revenue that what our education model will produce. So that's the
Hmm.
eventual 10-year vision that we have for ourselves. And in the
Okay.
process, of course, hopefully create a big dent in the R&D ecosystem of India. So
Okay.
that's the vision that we have with NST.
That is wonderful. I love the fact that you said you want to take this at the level of Stanford and stuff, which is fantastic. And I think, based on whatever I've seen personally, I think you guys are capable of doing that because your student,
It will take time. It will take time. It might
of
take
course,
even 20 to 25 years, but
of
it is
course,
a pursuit that is worth having.
which of course, as you said, right, you need to have a bigger mega goal and the vision. The way I look at it is vision is the guiding light, and then you
Yeah,
have smaller goals, right? You would have your 5 year goals. Maybe this may not be achievable in 5 years, it may take 25 years, but the vision is there, and that's what you're shooting for, and it'll keep pushing you forward. So yeah. So any thoughts you would like to share with students or even parents? I think that was one area which we didn't dabble much, but I think it's time that we allowed kids to follow their passions and build their careers and their lives around that, because only then you can bring excellence. And I we discussed earlier, excellence is a must have in the next few decades, because everything mediocre is already taken, so you have to be great at whatever you do. So any suggestions, any thoughts for parents and even the students that you'd
yeah,
like to share with the audience here?
absolutely. So for parents, I would say that when I look at parents today, I feel when it comes to career, they are much better. They are much understanding of their children already.
Is
This is
it?
a change generation when it comes to parents. But still, I would repeat this message that today the career opportunities are infinite, and
Hmm.
your students, your children's life is not in your control. You
Yes.
can't make them do something which they don't want to. Only their life, only the world they are surrounded with can change them. Their own experiences will shape them.
Yes.
So let them pursue things. Give them the right exposure, is what I would say. Try to surround them with the right people from the childhood. Instill good values in them and
Mhm.
let them be.
Yes.
They might have and most of the students will have a non-linear path. You would want them to succeed at the first go. That will not happen. Be
Yes.
okay with that. There are tremendous opportunities today. There was a
Yes.
time when you had
Yes.
only to be a software developer or a doctor. Today you
Yes.
can make a great career in marketing. In marketing, there are 10 ways to do it. So for
Absolutely.
example, I feel that most of the marketeers today I meet
Yes.
are outdated because even those who have 10 years or 20 years of experience
Yes.
understand nothing about the storytelling world in that age of social media. And
Exactly.
youngsters are doing great work over there,
Yes.
with their small camera in hand. So, one for parents, I would say that opportunities are tremendous. Let your
Yes.
child be, just
Yes.
give them great values. For
Yes.
students, I would say you are an amazing generation. The
Yes.
students who are graduating today from colleges, after school, I see them as really great generation.
Yes.
You are going to change India.
Yes.
You are going to
Yes.
change the world. But still, I see a lot of anxiety. I see a
Mhm.
lot of fear of missing out. I see a lot of fear, which
Uh-huh.
is very valid because the world is changing rapidly. You don't
Yes.
know what's going to happen. You can't even predict what jobs are going to be there in 4 years, which is
Right.
true. But
Yes.
don't be fearless.
Yes.
Enjoy, and I would say a very funny statement. I would say live a very balanced life in college where you do everything to the extreme. You
Yes.
do great effort in friendship, you do great effort in your classes, you put great efforts in building things, experimenting with things, try to
Yes.
push boundaries for whatever you do, there will always be a great place for you in the world if your
Yes.
attitude is right, you're willing to learn things, and you're willing to work hard. The world is a really beautiful place. Don't be
Yes.
so afraid, and don't set
Yes.
your mind to, that this is the kind of software developer I want to be, or this is, Google
Yes.
is the only place I want to be in.
Yes.
The world is a beautiful place. Don't
Yes.
worry too much.
That's a very beautiful way you put this across, Siddharth, because yes, don't be fearful. Of course, little bit of fear is good because it keeps you safe, but don't let it get to a point where it becomes like like something that.
Come on, I'm coming from where, I'm seeing first year student worrying so much about job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our times we did not used to think about it till the final year.
Yes.
So I'm not
Yes.
saying you should not think, but they are coming from a position of fear. They are
Yes.
very afraid, and fear
Yes.
makes you take the wrong decisions.
Yes, yes, 100%. And I've seen that with my daughter also, even, that concern is there in graduates, students who are studying, going into colleges now. I definitely see that shift. They're very concerned about their careers and stuff, which we weren't. I mean, at least I don't know about you guys because you are also next generation to me. For me, it was like, okay, we were just happy go lucky and life just was taking us. But of course, the fundamentals still remain the same. You have to work hard, you have to put your hours, due diligence, and all that stuff. But yeah, don't let anxiety and fear be the barriers to where possibilities can lead you. And as Siddharth, you said, this is right. I mean, though on one hand AI is doing whatever it's meant to do, the opportunities are going to still explode. There are going to be new things
Absolutely.
that will be needed, and builders will be needed. Other forms of things will be needed. The fundamentals of business will still remain the same. Every business is basically a transaction between what I have to give to the other person, to the world, and then somebody is paying you money for that. And if you extrapolate that idea, could be having businesses in so many different areas, and that
Yeah.
is still going to be there. The economies will shift, but eventually still you'll be fine. And I often reflect about this thing. Recently I was just paying attention. I was like, when, for example, India, traditionally India was an agricultural country. 70% of the, gross domestic product was, agriculture based. But then industries started coming up and more, factories were put up and stuff, and tractors and, other bigger machinery started replacing humans. So I often give this as an example to people that back then, let's say a farm had only, were requiring 100 people, then the same farming would have required probably 10 people. What happened to these 90 people? They went and took up jobs in other industries and factories and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. And then the factories also got, transitioned over to the internet age. Then something else came up, right? So humans just have to adjust. And that is how it's going to be in the age of AI as well. That on one hand, you'll be seeing some jobs going, but some new jobs, some new opportunities will start coming up. And our job is to just keep learning and keep growing and keep moving forward. So,
Absolutely. For example, right now we are doing a podcast. There would
yes.
be at least thousands of people who are doing full time podcast as a
Yes.
job. They have
Yes.
teams of, let's say, hundreds of people. You
Yes.
go and tell this to, let's say, a person 100 years back that, there's
Yes.
something called as influencer where
Yeah.
just document your life, create a
Yes.
video, and people pay you for that. And they would be
Yes.
surprised. What are you
Yes.
talking about? So the
Yes.
world is very unpredictable place.
Yes, absolutely. And, talking about that whole piece of podcast and influencer thing, I have seen, I mean, people, I mean, from remotest parts of the world, they come up and they start building something which is coming from their heart, and overnight they are sensations and they are, making big bucks. So it's a very interesting world. And I think it all boils down to having the courage to stand up for who you are and sharing it
True.
with the world and saying, okay, this is who I am and I'm going to do it. And sooner or later, you'll see things start falling in place. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Siddharth, it has been such a wonderful conversation, man. I would have really loved to, have this more because there's still so many things I would have thrown at you. And I'm sure you would have given great answers, and those would have been insights for many people. Maybe one of these days we'll do a follow up of this podcast and, go deeper into those conversations. For now, I think we'll take a pause here. And I've
Sure.
absolutely loved talking to you. And I
Thank you
wish
so
you
much,
guys
Kamal.
the
Thank you for having me.
absolute best, because
Thank you so
you guys
much.
are doing is very, very important and needed in the world. Education is the greatest gift that we can, be involved in. And you guys are at the forefront of that. And my absolute best wishes to you and Newton School of Technology and all your other ventures. And yeah, maybe we'll be in touch very soon again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care.